a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. JLee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it. Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now. Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, JLee.
All right, and I am joined for the final time in the National Live Podcast studio by my good friend, Mr. Josh Adams here of 90s Auctions, also Midwest Vintage Cards on Instagram, 2024, Cleveland National. It is Sunday. It is around noon, and this is the final time I'll be in here, and this is the last day. The show is winding up. I will say it is a lot slower on the floor today than it has been. Josh, you were shaking your head when we started. What was that all about?
Jeremy, it's great to be here. It's our fourth. It's our fourth time doing a show together. First time in person, so happy to be here. It's been pretty busy today, actually, at least for us.
That's good to hear.
Around.
We're usually doing content. We're usually separated by an international border, but this time we are sitting beside each other, and we are both kind of laughing because this is take two, you guys. This is take two, and take one. Josh misspoke. He said we're separated by a continent, but we are separated by international border. And Josh, I'm so happy to be back here with you right now.
Thank you.
How is the show going?
Besides my geographical deficiencies, it's been a great show. Had a great time. Been here since Tuesday. So, last day, 4 hours to go. Trying to fire on all cylinders and leaving a bang on a good note.
Right on. Well, I've noticed that. First of all, I'm glad it's been busy for you guys at the 90s. So let's actually. I want to ask you about 90s Auctions. You are here set up as. This is your third national set up as 90s Auctions or second?
It's our second national as 90s Auctions. It's my 15th national set up and my 20th that I've been to.
You've been 20 times at the national, 15 times set up. You're an OG. You're a veteran.
Yeah.
You are. You are among them. Tell us a little bit about, from your perspective, how have you noticed the National has changed and evolved from when you started coming through the years till this year here in Cleveland?
It has changed so much since I first started. My first show ever was 1993 at McCormick Place in Chicago. I was 15, and that year John Olerud was flirting with 400, so the big chase card was his 1990 Leaf.
I remember. Series
2 card. We were trying to bust those open, and that was a good memory, but as an adult, when I would go by myself, go with my friends, it has changed immensely. It went from just a show, just dealers and dealers and dealers, a very small corporate presence, didn't have any of the breakers or card breaks that you see here now, and nothing afterwards, right? Like after the show's over, if you had some friends you went to dinner, then you went to bed, did it again. And I think the evolution's really good because now you have all these events, you can socialize and network, and not just for a business perspective, but as a hobby perspective, because the relationships make up 99% of the hobby and what makes it worthwhile.
No doubt. It's been amazing seeing so many people, as always. All the social, the trade nights have been seriously on another level this year. Shout out Dave Marino and his team for throwing those national, for bringing them in-house and really into this building has made it great. You talked a bit about the evolution. I want to know, how do you find the vibe, the sort of almost like a cross section of the people? Are you noticing more young people here versus 15, 20 years ago? Are you noticing any difference in the energy in the room?
There's a significant increase in young people, like, teenagers and younger from the early 2000s to now. And it's, they all got their Zion cases. They're all looking to wheel and deal. And it's just much different. I think in terms of vibes, I think it's great. There's different sections of the room as well. So you can go to one place where they have most of the vintage guys are up front because they've been here for a long time, which has been a topic of discussion on Instagram the past week. Yeah. And then you go different. You can find your friends in their sections, and it's like a different vibe based on where you're at.
Yeah.
So all in all, I think it's wonderful. I love it.
That's great. So one thing I wanted to ask you was, do you have any stories that you could tell people watching, listening, about maybe some occurrences, some interactions you had at your booth? Were there any goals you came with? Any cards you wanted to acquire? Any cards you wanted to move? Talk a bit about your transactions that you've made.
So before we set up as the business, I would set up and just sell cards to fund my own collection. And, when you buy lots and you buy stuff from auction, you have stuff left over that you can't get rid of. It takes up space. So my goal was to get rid of the stuff that I've had for, more than a year, because just sitting there and taking up dust, your wife gets mad at you, you got to make room.
Right.
So that was my goal. In the first 2 days, it was all gone. So it was great. So I was very happy about that. Stuff that I didn't need anymore, so I could put it towards other things. I have a really good story for you.
I want to add, before you tell the next story, this sort of bulk, these cards that were not cards you wanted to deal with one by one, you moved them all in bulk on the first day of the show. What was the profile of the buyer of those cards? Do you know what their plans were going to be? How were they? Was it inventory for their card show? How did that, to the extent how does that person operate in the hobby?
Those were collectors who were building sets because they took out their checklists, marked off the cards, said, I'll take them. It was like 3 guys. They're all collectors looking to finish sets. And they were remnants of sets like hockey sets, C55s, 58 tops, stuff like that I just wanted to get rid of.
So it was vintage.
Yes.
Hockey
and baseball.
Hockey and baseball.
Yes, sir.
Very cool. And how excited were they to help, get further towards the completion of these sets? Were they excited, or what was their attitude? Were they just ho hum, or were they happy to be here?
They were happy to check it off the list. I'm a set collector, so I know when you find a card you're looking for to check one off the list, it's always a good feeling.
Yeah.
Like the hunt is 90% of the fun for me.
Yeah, totally. That checking off that box is
sure.
Very satisfying. All right, you wanted to tell a good story.
A friend of mine here has a table, and he's got a bunch of old Charles Conlon Type 1 photographs. And if anyone knows what that is, Conlon was a very famous baseball photographer in the early 1900s. 1900, 1912 was the bulk of his work. And a friend of mine saw on eBay a couple of these photos for auction, and he could tell by the way they were listed, the seller didn't really know what they had. He called them, hey, I'm interested in, do you have any more? And they wrote back, yeah, I've got about 215 more, which for Charles Conlon photos is unheard of. Yeah. It's like finding 6 T206 Wagners in one spot. That's how hard it is. Talks to the guy. It turns out this was a widow of someone who just passed away, and the man who passed away bought these in like the 50s because he wrote to Conlon and said, I want to buy more of your card, more of your photos. Conlon passed away. The executor of Conlon's estate found this letter, wrote to the collector, said, we have like 215 more of these. Do you want them? They were like $30 a piece in 1950 something. He bought them all, and they've been sitting in his house since 1950 something. The seller has the letter also from the executor of the estate. So it's an amazing piece. There's 200 photos. Some of them were the basis for the 1933 Gaudi set.
Oh, wow, really?
He had Benny Benoit, Mel Ott. There was one, it was Gehringer. An amazing array of black and white photos from the early days of baseball.
That's unbelievable.
Mostly Hall of Famers, some really great shots.
The fact that they were some of the original photos used to create the 33 Gaudi, a landmark iconic set, that's really cool. Were these photos slabbed up? Were they authenticated? What sort of condition were they in?
All slab by PSA Type 1s. There's a couple Type 2s, but as you know, Type 1 is from the original negative within 2 years of the production.
Right,
so mostly Type 1s.
Very cool, very cool. Tell us a story or two about maybe somebody that came to your booth and bought a card, or a consigner for 90s auctions that came to the booth and consigned some cards. What cards came by your booth this weekend that totally made your head spin?
So we had a few baseball rubies come through, which are always popular. Alex Rodriguez, Jay Buhner, some other stars from the 90s. We got a Michael Jordan Skybox Rubies. That's going to be in our auction this time.
It's a big one.
It's a big card, so we're excited about that. You'll check our profile for that. You could see it. It's on Instagram. And then for me personally, I made a pretty big purchase. I was excited about.
Oh, okay. I wanted to. I didn't know if you were gonna want to talk about this. This is actually a pretty exciting story for you as a collector. I'm glad you bring it up. So, this is a pickup for your PC?
This is mine. It's never leaving my hands, and I'm extremely excited. I want to thank Mark Seda from Fund Your Cards.
Okay. A Sports Cards Live sponsor as well.
Without him, it would not have been done.
Very cool.
So I'm very excited. It's a Michael Jordan Essential Credential out of 72 in a conservatively grade PSA 6, because anything higher I'm not going to be able to afford.
Yeah.
So absent getting rid of a kidney or two.
Right.
So very excited. So that happened on Tuesday during the show from a friend. It was a walk-up And I said, actually, I can make it work if I do this. So yeah, I emailed my wife, texted my wife, hey, take pictures of these cards. She's like, I got 2 kids here, not now, do it later.
Yeah.
But, so it'll work out. So when I get home tonight, I'll take care of that. So I'm very excited.
So when you pick up a huge card, I'm going to go as far as call this a grail type of pickup,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
That's a big Michael Jordan 90s insert. It's the pink and purplish one. My favorite. I have the Shaquille O'Neal. Will be insert set bros at least.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's amazing. And you got to, so when you pick up a big card like that, what do you get butterflies in your stomach? Do you kind of go blank for a while once you make that handshake?
Yeah.
How did it feel?
Extremely nervous.
Yeah.
Extremely excited. I was shaking for a little bit, mostly of like excitement. So I'm pretty excited. It's a card I've always wanted. Never thought I'd be able to get it because it's out of reach. But when you think about it, I'd rather have 1 or 2 real nice cards that you can't find every day, as opposed to like 50 or 100 that you could, with time, pick up over. Just all you need is money, right? So So which is easier said than done. But I'd rather have those hard to find cards.
So what are you going to do? So you mentioned Mark Sadov from Fund Your Cards.
Yep.
So how did he help you purchase this card?
So I talked to the seller. We arranged a price, and I've worked with Mark before. We have a Barry Bonds PMG coming in our auction this month, and that's going to be because of him. So again, Mark's the best. And I approached him afterwards and said, I have a deal. I told him the specifics. He goes, I'll get it done. We're done. We had an agreement. And I'm just going to send him everything tomorrow.
And so Mark's been on Sports Cards Live before, and he's explained. So I just want to understand and make sure that the stories line up, which I'm sure they will. So basically, Mark purchased the card for you.
Yes.
Gave the seller the money, has the card.
Correct.
Do you have the card?
I don't. Until it's paid off, I don't get it.
So Mark is holding the card in his vault for you. Now you are going to go through your collection and inventory and bank account and select cards and decide how many cards you're going to sell to fund this.
Right.
Are you going to throw in any cash at all from your savings, let's say, or your whatever?
Probably a few bucks I can throw in. Jeremy, money's for spending, so it's the best way to spend it.
So cardboard, baby.
Yeah.
So you are going to put a bit of money in, whatever the money is, and the rest of it you're gonna fund by selling cards.
Yeah.
Tell us about the cards. You don't have to name them exactly, but it sounds like you have to come up with quite a bit of value. Like are we talking over or under 5 figures for this Jordan credentials?
Over 5.
Are we talking
low 6?
Over 6 figures for
very low 6 figures, but yes.
But that's the value that you have committed to funding through this. So now you got to go through what sort of car? Are you gonna trade away two say? And I'm gonna pick a number. Let's say it's $100,000. You're gonna pick out 2 $50,000 cards, 10 $100,000 cards, 5 $20,000, or a bunch of $1,000 and $2,000. What's your plan with that?
So I've got a Satchel Paige 48 leaf that I've had for 20 years. I paid $1,000 for it. I feel like it's a lot sitting in one card.
Yeah.
Not that this other one isn't. The irony is not lost on me. So I'm gonna kick that in, and I have most of the leaf set. So I'm gonna probably give up the leaf set. Which is hard for me because I really like that set.
Haven't you been working on that leaf set for quite some time?
I'm 2 away, but they're hard to find. But they come up with some regularity. They do. So again, all you need is time and money. The Jordan doesn't pop up.
No, I mean, I've been walking the show floor now for going on 5 days, and I have seen several 48 leaf cards.
Me too.
I don't know that I've seen a single Jordan Essential Credentials. Maybe one. Did I see one in the room?
There's one.
Was it at Eric's booth?
Yep. Eric's got it.
Buy Nice Cards
yes,
had
sir.
it. I thought I saw
He's
one there.
got one.
What grade is his?
Beckett 8.5.
Okay. So. And do you think that the Beckett 8.5 is... let me ask you this. The one that you are acquiring, have you seen it in hand? Or is this all...
I've seen it in hand.
How do you think it ranks compared to the 8.5 that's in the room?
It's very similar.
Yeah.
It's very similar, and I'm fine with it. It's like it presents really nice. There's not a lot of chipping, which is really common in that set.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy, and it pairs nice. I have a Frank Thomas in a 10 in that same set, so I think it pairs nice. My Chicago childhood heroes, so I think it'll look real nice when they're together.
That's awesome. Maybe one day Connor Bedard will get an Essential Credentials, and you can pair that. But I'm thinking back, You know, Jonathan Taves does have a nice
He does.
from 2012 Fleer Retro, which looks the same as the 97 credentials that you just traded for,
It does.
are in the process of trading for.
does.
So you're gonna take your Satchel Paige, some money, the whole Leaf set, maybe some other cards from your PC.
I've got some Frank Thomas cards apparently have appreciated in value significantly in the past 6 months.
Okay.
Which I didn't know, because once I buy a card, I kind of just put it away, stop looking at prices.
Same here.
You know, so,
Yeah.
but I've got a pretty hefty Frank Thomas collection. I think I'm probably going to cash out too.
Okay.
I'm
But you're going to keep a few key pieces.
I'm keeping his PMGs and the Essential Credential. Everything else is gone.
That's what you would keep. That that makes sense to me. And then you're going to have yourself the Michael Jordan Essential Credentials, future or the now?
Oh, the future.
Yeah, I
I know,
kind of
I
forget
know.
which is which half the time, you know?
Yeah, right.
The future, the pink and purple. Such a congrats, man. That's a huge pickup.
Thanks, brother. Yeah, I'm
Huge
very
pickup.
excited. I'm very excited. So
Right on.
I think I'm good for cards for the rest of the year after this one.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a biggie. Okay, so the National, we are now on day 5. It is wrapping up. You know, pretty soon we're going to unfortunately start to see people covering up their booths and taking off a bit early. That just tends to happen. But for you, are you ready to go home? Do you feel like you accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish here?
I've accomplished everything I wanted. You know, we're always open in case we get some late-minute consigners. We did get a few pickups yesterday.
Yeah.
So consigners dropping off stuff. So you know, we're here till 4 because the promoters want you to stay till 4. So anyone who buys a ticket. So we're here till the end and pack up and have the 5.5-hour car ride home and going on fumes, but it's totally worth it. I look forward to this week every year. It's like I plan it a year in advance, and nothing gets in our way of making the show.
Now, you and I, we are part of we're part of a chat group with some other Michael Jordan collectors and basketball collectors, that kind of thing. I hope I can maintain my membership because I don't collect as much basketball as I do hockey.
It's okay.
But hopefully these guys will allow me to stick around. And we did it last year. We were able to all have a group meet up one night at one of the hotels in Chicago. This time it didn't get to happen, but I feel like we still got to see each other in pockets here and there, little groups, and I still feel satisfied that I got to see the group. How about you?
Same. I feel the same way. It's harder here just because of location.
Yeah.
Nothing against the site, just that the hotels in Chicago are more conducive to meeting at hey, come to this hotel. It's across the street. I saw people like Frankie, like Stan, legends of the game, and our booth is a good place for a meetup. I meet you here, and we would talk and hang out and catch up, which is great. It's good to see everyone once a year.
Yeah, for sure. So the next 3 years, the National is back in Chicago.
Yes, sweet home.
That's where you live.
Very excited about that.
Do you live close to the Stevens Center?
20 minutes by car, so it's great.
So you just drive in every day?
Sometimes I get a hotel if I'm going to stay afterwards and hang out. I just want to drive home at midnight and then leave at 6 the next morning or 7 this morning. So I just get a hotel.
Do you think you'll get a hotel the whole time you're there next time?
Probably, because I did last time, and there was a pool, so my kids would come and play in the pool.
Oh, nice.
So I was like, they loved it. So probably.
So we will see you at the next 3 Nationals for sure.
Absolutely, God willing.
Has there been any indication from the National management team about where the National might be after 2028?
They haven't announced it yet.
In 28, I should say?
Not yet, and the dealers haven't voted yet after that. So as soon as they vote, usually that year, so probably next year, we'll know where it'll be after that in 2029.
Any idea where you're going to vote for 2028?
I mean, probably Chicago, just from a purely... Although those are the best shows, it's centrally located. Everything is in walking distance. It's very convenient.
True. It is. I must say, I want to shout out the IX Center's facility. I do love this building. The internet has been it hasn't been perfect, but it's been pretty darn good. It's been pretty darn good, right? Good. Are you nodding with me? Not so good. All right, our producer's telling it hasn't been so good. I've been walking around, and I'm getting it in some places better than others. The temperature hasn't been too bad. I haven't found it's been too hot. Have you?
It's very comfortable, and I will say they redesigned this place because the last time it was here was 2018, and it went back a little farther, and there was a Ferris wheel in the middle.
Yes.
And it would go outside of the building, so you could see all of Cleveland. It was really cool. I did it a couple of times. I got bored during the show.
Yeah.
But it's been redesigned. Like, this room wasn't around in 2018 where we're sitting.
Right.
And it's just, I think it's better.
They changed up the plans here.
It looks great.
It does. It's a great room, nice and bright everywhere.
Yep.
Lots of food in the middle in the food court section.
Yeah.
It's been a fun week. I'm looking forward to, I'm good to go.
Same.
I'd be happy to come back next weekend for another one, but I'm good to go. It's been 5 great days. Josh, tell everybody where they can find 90s Auctions.
So if you're still here, you can find us at booth 1043.
They're not still here.
They're not.
Online.
Online is 90sauctions.com. You can find us on Instagram at 90s Auctions. My handle also is Midwest Vintage Cards is my personal account. More vintage stuff on there, although maybe not after this week.
Yeah, and some Jordan
and some
ECs.
Jordan.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right on.
So I'm excited.
All right, man. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Jeremy.